Hello, lovely listeners. This is the Off the Cuff podcast show. I'm Justin DeWeese. That's my crazy hot wife, Ashley DeWeese. And we are here to educate, entertain, and inspire you on this perilous journey called life.
You better be careful doing those intros with your
Why?
voice like that, because you're gonna start to get people thinking that this is some kind of podcast,
What
like an
can I say? I gotta,
after hours podcast.
well, you know,
We used to not threaten, but we used to dingle dangle at people to do like a after dark Beauty and the Beard after dark.
we used to what with them?
Well,
Man.
I was thinking about like dangle, like as in
No,
tease,
yep,
dangle, and I said
right,
dingle dangle.
right. You just keep making it worse.
Stop it. Oh, it gets worse, Karen.
Get rid of the
Our,
tiny mic.
I used to think these were like so stupid, but now I think they're quasi cool. And our kids, like, well, their Nana found it in a box, and I guess they just erupted thinking this isn't even plugged in, by the way. Like, I'm not even but they were like erupted that it was cool. And I think it's only because at their school there's a media class and they would do Tiny Mike Thursdays. And so they got used to like seeing them with this. So they think it's the coolest thing. And now they've started
I'm
their own
curious as to
YouTube
why you
channel.
think it's quasi cool.
I don't think it's cool. It's just one of those, I don't
That's
know, it's just
literally what you just
different.
said.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know. It's just kind of it's different. Something different. I'd get tired of it real quick.
Huh.
Sue me.
That, given the whole marital thing, I don't think that would be a smart choice for me to sue you.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't in the slightest.
Right.
With that being said, we are full on into summer.
Indeed, we are.
I filled out our calendar yesterday and or finished filling out our wall calendar. We have a wall calendar in the kitchen that everything doesn't go on it, but like the main things or the big stuff that involve the kids or the entire family go on it. And it's flipping full.
It is jam-packed to the gills.
But, I mentioned it yesterday. It is jam packed when you look at it. But I think part of that's just literally like physical spacing. Because I don't want to give the impression, because I know I say it a lot, that we are a family that is not about being busy, busy, busy all of the time.
Right.
So it's jam packed. It's our kind of jam packed, is what I should say. We don't
Sure.
really have 50 million things going on. We just have a handful of things
Like an
that,
hour or two every day.
right. There's just something every day that's going on that we need to get people to be
Camps
at.
and practices and tournaments and things.
Vacation and yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, grateful for it all. But, sometimes you look at it and you're like,
Complicated but simple. How about that?
but true, complicated but simple. And man, you're so good.
I know.
Um, am I turning red?
A little bit.
um,
Daddy's cooking for you. Now you're red.
Zaddy. Anyways,
Anyway,
we'll save that.
complicated but
We'll,
simple.
we'll save that for another episode. Complicated but simple. No, I was just thinking about lately just different conversations that I've had with clients and myself and listening to personal development. Just how often or how much we tend to overcomplicate things in our life that in reality could be fairly flip and simple.
Right. It's I think part of it is a defense mechanism of sorts, right? Because if I can convince myself that becoming debt free has to be a complicated process, then like I'm baking in an excuse for me not to do it.
Right. And that's one of the things that I literally just talked to my clients about of when you can just be like delulu about things, when you can live in the land of confusion. One of my very good friends, Andrea York, um, she would always say, like, they live in the land of confusion. But that's true. If you can keep yourself in the land of confusion versus in the land of clarity, you can pretend that you are lost. You can pretend that you
Right.
don't know what to do if you can stay in that land of confusion. Because once you get clear, once you simplify it down and you know, then you can't ignore that you know.
Right.
And when you're in that space and it is so simple, you have to recognize that you are making a conscious choice not to.
Right. So it's easier for me to just be like, it's really complicated to work out and eat right. So I'm just not going to do it because I can't get my hands around the 300,000 steps that I need to do in order to accomplish that goal.
Right. Or let's throw out some other words people use besides
Yes,
it's so
let's.
complicated. I'm so overwhelmed when I think about it.
There's your favorite word.
We're so crazy busy. There's just so much going on. Life is happening. Well, first of all, can I just bust y'all's bubble that life is always going to be lifing? Like life is always going to do what life does. So we can either keep using verbiage like life is so crazy right now or life is really tough right now, whatever you want. Like, welcome to life. Like, that's life. So you can either
Right.
keep doing that and placing limitations on yourself, or you can understand that life's always going to be life and it's your job and responsibility to learn how to navigate through life as it is,
Right.
period. Right? That's like a little extra bonus snug there. But yeah, so those are all sorts of different things that people say, which is just another way of saying I would rather stay super cloudy, foggy, and unclear than get clear and actually take action to make my situation better.
Right. Well, because again, it goes back to the lack of understanding of how simple the actions probably are.
Right. Well, and before we go to some examples of ways that we have and do simplify things in our life. And as always, disclaimer, we don't, and not everything in our life have we simplified.
Nope. She's still complicated. Oh, he said it out loud.
People, it's fear, right? Like, again, a
Right.
lot of what it comes down to for people is fear, is the root of a lot of things that they aren't doing that they need to do. There's a fear that, wow, if I actually acknowledge what I need to do or what I can do, then not only am I going to have to do it or otherwise admit that I'm choosing not to do it and
Right.
just complaining, uh, or what if I get clear and I take the action and then I have to maintain that? And I don't know if I'm going to be able to maintain it. See, it comes down to fear of the unknown. It comes down to fear in regard to whether or not we ourselves as an individual have it within us
Right.
to do, to maintain. And oftentimes I think it's the maintenance that scares people. Like maybe for some things it is just the whole doing it in the first place at all. But then for
Sure.
another large percentage of people, it's not the initial doing it. It's wow, like if I actually do this and it works, then I'm gonna have to maintain it. And we become
Right.
so comfortable in the way we like the chaos with which most people live life, it's so normal. They know how to navigate that. Like it may be chaotic, it may be stressful, but they
Well, sure.
know
We get used to
like
it.
right, I know how to
Right.
do this. I don't know how to do structure and routine and not be stressed out all the time. It's like when, people who get in relationships that go south bad relationships. They tend to do that over and over again. They're like, why do I always pick these guys? Because that's all you know. That's what you're comfortable
Right.
with. And then when they actually get into a good relationship, they often sabotage it because they're like, holy shit, like I don't know what it's like to be treated well. I don't know what it's like to not be fighting all the time with the person that I'm dating. And so they sabotage that because they're like, oh, I can't keep this up. I can't do that. Why are you
Right.
smirking?
No reason. I'm just listening and enjoying the conversation.
Are you saying that I tried to sabotage our relationship at times?
Yes, tried.
Oh my
Past
gosh.
tense.
Do you have
Dear
do you have an
sweet baby Jesus.
do you have an example that you're thinking of? I'm just curious. Like, is
No,
there
not off the top of my head.
no? Oh.
I'm a guy. I don't catalog that stuff and carry it around and wait for it to come up so that I can unfold my detective's notebook and be like, on May 7th, you did the blah, 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 blah.
Well, I mean, I don't know why you don't keep a diary of that. Anyways, so I don't know. It would probably be helpful. I would listen to a podcast that shared some of these things. Um,
Sure, of course.
just some things that we can think of like off the dome that we do or have done that have made things a lot more simple, that make us better, that make our family better, that make our life better, our days better.
So, one of the concepts, and like I don't use this verbiage all the time, but like this is one of the ways that I think about things. And I heard this from Tim Ferriss, author of the 4 Hour blah blah blah. He's written a handful of books about work weeks and cooking and fitness and all the things, but they're all 4 hour, right? His concept is called the minimum effective dose.
Mm,
And that's the idea of like, well, just for example, if you have a headache, what's the minimal amount of Tylenol you can take to get rid of that headache? Right? Because a lot of times we go to that bottle and we say, "Oh, it says to take 2 every 4 hours, blah blah blah." Well, that's the recommended dose, but you may only need one, and one would take
mm-hmm.
care of the headache. So why would you put more in your body of that, right? So that goes for everything. What and especially obviously disclaimer, like when it comes to loving my wife and children, I don't think what's the minimum effective dose that I can get away with here, right? But for example, when you start like if I wasn't a guy that read all the time, if I wanted to start reading, what's the minimum effective dose
Yeah.
of reading that I can do that will start building that habit for me? And if it's only a page, it's only a page.
Well, and I'll play devil's advocate here because I think what
Go
can go
for
through
it,
the mind
you
of
little
many people.
devil.
Oh,
Continue. Your face is red a lot today. It's weird.
what can go through many people's minds, because I've been one of these people, is, well, that's not going to do anything, right? One ibuprofen isn't going to do anything. Reading one page or paragraph isn't going to do anything. Walking for 5 minutes or doing a 5 minute workout isn't going to do anything. And you're right
To a
from the stand
point.
to a point that doing that one time for that dose is not going to do a whole lot for you.
Right.
But what people fail to see is that it's a starting point.
Right.
And for many people, it makes things more digestible
Right.
and it
That's the point.
allows you to step into motion.
Right.
And so then you step into motion and you're like, because you're going from doing, and also I will say, like, I'm a big fan of like fucking going all in.
Well,
Like
sure, of
you
course.
don't
And
need a
there's
like
times when that's completely applicable.
right. You don't need a baby step shit. Like you
Right.
can be like, I'm gonna go from not working out and not eating great food to following a full-on meal plan protocol
Well,
and
like
workout program, whatever. Like you can totally do that.
right,
I'm that
like it
person.
for example, if someone had a massive heart attack and the doctor said, "Hey, here's all the changes you need to make." Like that's not time for the minimum effective dose. That's time to like, "Hey, I'm doing
Right.
all the things. I'm going whole hog because it needs to be done."
Well, and not even just in those extreme situations. And
No,
it's important to me to,
yes.
I
Oh my
know
God,
that
it was an example.
this podcast is not for you.
This podcast is for everybody.
I'm just saying, I know that you know what I'm getting at, but I want to make it clear for everyone because I talk to people, women in particular, who tell themselves the story that they have to slowly get
Right.
into something. And that's not actually true. That is one way you can do something, but you don't need to tell yourself the story that you can't just fully go into something from this point to this point and it work for you because it can.
Right.
So, yes, it gets you in motion doing something small like that. And the first thing to keep in mind is if you read, and I'm going to take it down to that paragraph a day, right? Like if you read one Bible verse a day, if you read one paragraph a day, if you went for a 5-minute walk every single day, that compounds.
Right.
So, first of all, at the end of the year, you would have read 12. Oh, no, it's a day. I should never do this.
You see what I'm dealing with here, people?
Hey, this is Ashley math, okay? Or the girl math.
By the end of the year, you will have read 18 sections. That number has no relation to anything else in reality, but that's where I ended up. What?
You will have read 365 verses of the
There you
Bible
go.
or 365 paragraphs of a book,
Right.
which is number one, more than the previous year.
Right.
So
Which is
it's
more than
more than
zero.
what you were doing. And you're not telling me that you would not have learned something, gained something, benefited in some way from those 365 verses or paragraphs that you read over that time.
Well, and to take that even further, right? If the walking for 5 minutes, average person can, if you're not totally shuffling your feet, can walk about a mile in 15 minutes, right? So that's a third of,
This wasn't the example that I picked to share out
well, yeah. So
because of
I'm
the
using the
math.
other example.
I know that's what I'm saying. I picked it, so I didn't have to do the math of it.
Oh, so anyway, that's a third of a mile a day. Over the course of a year, that's 100 miles. You tell me that if you walk 100 miles in a year, you're not going to have some impact?
Additional miles, right?
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Of
right,
course you will.
right. But it's hard for us to wrap our brain around that.
Of course.
We look at the just the one time action, and we're like, well, that's not going to do anything. They're not going to do that.
Right.
Like you don't
And the
understand
other
that.
thing that the minimum effective dose philosophy leads you to is once you start it, like the odds are you'll be able to grow from there. And
Well, it
so,
will become a habit.
right. And then 3 months in, you're walking 15 minutes a day.
Well, yeah, because let's to go to that. So we obviously just said, hey, if you just did this one little thing every single day, here's how it would compound. But what the next level is most likely for most people, you will start with that little dose
Right.
and you will get into it and it will start feel like a habit, this thing that you just do. And there's going to come a day along the way where you're like, "Oh, well, maybe I'll read a whole chapter of the Bible today, or I'll read
Right.
a whole page, or I'll walk, you know, a
Right.
mile or whatever." And so it's it's taking a small digestible chunk of something, getting you started so that you can put the reps in so that it becomes more normal, it becomes a habit. And then as you start, because you will, as you start seeing and feeling and living the effects or impact of that, you will most likely, in a lot of cases, want to do more of that thing.
Right. Simple
Period.
math, man. I mean, not
Right.
simple math for you, but simple math for the rest of us.
Okay, I own that. So not in this compound way, but here's some things that we do in our life that we keep really freaking simple so that we will do it consistently, right?
Bang them
One
off,
of
babe.
well, it's not like I have a list. I have a paddle here. Number one,
Well, that's a different kind of podcast.
we left that here from last night. I hope
And
our
she's
kids.
red again.
I hope our kids don't watch this because they're gonna be like, "We play ping pong with those paddles." What else can we look at here that is maybe
Ma'am, get back on track.
okay? So, number one.
Good Lord. Dear listeners, I apologize. We strive to be a little more professional in this.
By the way, you know it's awesome when you are on a health journey and live a healthy lifestyle. Like, I can actually feel my abs, and I'm like, oh, feel that, girl. Feel that progress. Anyways, one of the things that we do is we eat meals on repeat.
Correct.
We eat meals on repeat. We try, for the most part, to eat the things that we really enjoy, right? Now,
Also true.
sometimes, depending on what our goals are, depending on, hey, we're traveling and there's no microwave available, we consume a meal that is less than our ideal meal.
It
But
happens.
we eat meals on repeat that we like or don't mind because it keeps things simple. Back in the early days of our marriage, we spent so much time, as
So much
many
time.
couples and families do, trying to answer this question. What do you want to eat for lunch? What do you want to have for dinner? Oh, I don't want that. Oh, I don't want that. Should we go out? Oh, I want to go out, but you don't. Like, y'all know
It's a
so
pain
much
in the
time
ass.
it is. And we don't do that anymore. I mean, I shouldn't say we don't do that anymore. Like occasionally we do that when we're gonna go out to dinner, maybe, but
Right.
otherwise we eat meals on repeat. It keeps it really, really simple. And one thing that people tell themselves again to keep themselves in the land of confusion is they're like, oh, well, I need variety. I need variety. I don't want to eat the same thing every single day. What if I get bored with it? La, 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 la. There's too much talking and not enough doing. There's too much talking and not enough doing. So we eat meals on repeat, makes it super simple. Literally every single day at lunch, we just go to the fridge, we grab the thing that we know is our lunch for the day,
Right.
and we assemble it, and there's that.
It's the
And
same lunch as
so,
yesterday. Be the same lunch tomorrow.
and it not only lessens the self-created stress and frustration of what am I going to have to eat today? Or if you are parents, like what are we going to eat today as a family? But the other part that I want to make sure people begin tuning into in their life is it also then allows us to have more time during our lunch or during our dinner to engage with each other, right? Like if we only have a certain amount of time for our meals and we're spending a big portion of that trying to decide what we're going to have and then actually like preparing what we're going to have, that leaves less time for what matters most, which is the relational aspect of those meals.
Right.
And so we quickly assemble these things because again, it's on repeat and then we have more time. And maybe you're not eating with your family or your spouse. You should, by the way. It's a great benefit to your life. But even if you're just eating by yourself, it allows you to have more time to yourself or have more time to get the work done that maybe you're doing at lunch. So doing that has made it like just so much easier every single day. It's one of the biggest stress reliefs that we probably don't talk about enough, that we do. Um, do you have I have a couple of things, but if you
Bang them out. We can just talk about them.
on the nutrition topic, we also eat predominantly whole foods.
Also
So
true.
and that goes for our kids too. We don't we're not making a bunch of like recipes. Like from time to time, we might put together something that's a recipe in the sense of like you need an eighth of a cup of this and a half a cup of that, and there's like 12 different or 15 different ingredients, and then you got to mix it and you got to put it in a pan, you got to
I
grease the
mean,
pan, you
that's
got
like
to
an actual recipe, not a recipe in the sense of sort of
in the
sentence there.
right. What do you mean?
Well, you just kind of, anyway. Yes, we occasionally follow a recipe to create a meal.
Well, the only reason I went into that little thing is because like a meal you create for yourself, like there's a recipe, but there's different recipes, right? Like, but I have a recipe for my lunch every single day, and that's ground beef and rice. You put ground beef,
Truth,
a certain amount of ground beef with rice and Brussels sprouts, and that's my lunch. But
right?
to me, I define a recipe as like all that shit I
Some
just listed off.
s- Something on a card that you pull out of a box
Right.
that your grandma gave you.
Like more than three or four ingredients.
Sure, fair enough. I'll
So,
allow it.
okay, thanks. So we eat predominantly whole foods. Our meals consist of this item and that item and that item, and you warm it up or you eat it cold, and that's the way that it is. Um,
Correct.
Super simple. A lot of people balk at that. Again, making
Which is silly.
assumptions. It is silly. And we were probably those people at one point, no doubt. But people think that, oh, well, you can't have anything good if it's just made with the like we have been forced to be so creative at times in our health journey. We've learned a lot of different ways to take three or four whole food ingredients, and by that I'm meaning like not chemically processed shit that's going to kill you, by the way, that is killing you, and making you sick and unhealthy and overweight and all the things. I'm talking about real whole foods, but a lot of people are like, well, I can't make anything tasty out of that. And number one, yes, you can. And number two, we live in the day and age of TikTok and Instagram Reels, and there's stuff everywhere of people
Right.
sharing these basic
Absolutely
recipes
amazing
like we're talking about.
things.
Right.
Right.
So simplifying, again, it makes it easier to grocery shop because we're looking for basics. It also makes it easier to eat well and eat as a family for our individual goals
Right.
because you can take those whole food items and put together different combinations that work for everybody, right? That work for
Right.
everybody, but that doesn't force everyone to consume it in the exact same way.
Right. To have the same thing.
Correct. So that's
Well,
something that we do.
simple genius.
Um, Going on walks around the block is something super simple that we do. Yes, Justin and I work out on the regular at the gym. We have a training program that we follow, et cetera, et cetera. We also coach people with those things. That being said, one of the most underestimated simple things you can do for your physical and mental well being and that of your family is to walk more.
Right.
And so, one of the ways that we work walking more into our life is definitely during the summertime. We, after lunch, usually we didn't do it today because we're recording this today, but we will go walk two laps. We live in a cul-de-sac, or I guess it's a cul.
Not really.
It's not really a cul-de-sac because it's a full loop, but
Just a little
we're
loop street.
we make two laps around our street and then we come back inside. It's simple. It doesn't take very long, but it gets us a decent amount of steps. It gets a movement into our day. And we try to do that a couple times a day. Sometimes it's just he and I. Sometimes we bring the kids along. As often as possible, we try to bring the kids along. Um, and again, it's a simple way for you to get more movement, which is good for your brain and your body, but also allows you to have connection with the
Right.
people that matter in your life, even just yourself.
A little fresh air, a little fresh convo. I mean, come
Oh,
on.
it does wonders. That's one of the things that just I'm not a fan of winter for a lot of reasons. I've said that before, but that's one of the things that I look forward to in the spring and the summer is being able to get outside again and
Right.
walk. And I'm not someone who likes to, I don't want to walk. I don't care to walk on the regular, like 2 miles or 3 miles or go, like, it's just,
No.
I'll do it. I would do it if we were doing something specific, but like, I just wanted short doses.
Sure.
Short doses, as you
Again,
said,
minimum effective
minimum
dose.
effective dose. Incredibly, incredibly helpful.
What?
You have nothing. You contributed. I guess you contributed to the first one.
Yeah. Oh, I contributed. How dare you, ma'am?
We have gotten better at using our Google Calendar, popping things onto a calendar, which I used to be really resistant to. I told myself that it was super hard, that it doesn't work for me.
See
But
that?
we,
Listen, gang. She's literally providing an example of where she had previously overcomplicated
yeah,
something in her head
mhm.
and
Before
in
even really giving
practice,
it a go, right?
right? And in practice, now that she's doing it, she's like, "Oh, this is not that complicated and does actually help my life."
Right.
Who'd have thunk?
Well, yeah, so I'll come back to that. But yeah,
Please
so
do.
we use our Google Calendar so that we can each kind of see things that are going on. Sometimes do things get left off of that calendar? Yes, yes,
Of
they do.
course.
But that helps. We also have, as I mentioned, a calendar, a whiteboard calendar in our kitchen. And one of the reasons that we fill it out with most of the things that impact everyone in our house is because when we weren't doing that, again, if you don't know, my mother lives with us in addition to our two children and each other. Um, I would get a lot of questions. Well, when is this happening? When is that happening? Oh, well, I didn't know about that. Blah, 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 which drove me fucking batty. I don't want to
Or
answer all those questions. I don't want to do all the things. And so now I can just be like, it's on the calendar. Or they don't even
right.
ask because they just look at the calendar. And people like to have a sense of security. Like they like to know what's going on at all
Of
times
course.
if possible. So with that calendar, it just saves, again, it saves a lot of stress and frustration and extra stuff that's time consuming, uh, drains your energy battery because it's up there. It's simple to do that. It doesn't take a lot of time to
Takes
get
like
the
10 minutes a month.
right, but it solves so many things that would cause more negative impact in your life.
Right.
And I guess that's maybe the last thing that I kind of wanted to bring up with all of this, as we've given you some examples of the simple things that we do, is that you have two choices with things. You can keep doing the thing or not doing the thing that you recognize is a problem,
Right.
or you can choose to do something different or to stop doing that thing that you need to stop doing, knowing you'll be better off for it. Even if you're unsure about it, even if you're not sure it's going to work, even if like it's got to be better than the way things currently are. You know,
Right.
a couple of my clients were asking this week about um some, for example, like sometimes I just don't want to eat the thing, or sometimes I don't feel like going to work out, or I don't know why I'm pushing so hard with having my nutrition on point. And it's like, do you need to completely understand and have a deeper level connection? Yes, there's power to that. But what I told them is it's also not that deep, because at the end of the day, what I know and what I practice for myself when I'm in those moments of feeling like I don't want to, or is this even worth it, or is it even working, is that the alternative, like I can recognize that that what I'm doing or not doing right now is not helping me, that it's
Right.
creating issues, it's creating negative impact. I know this thing over here has the potential to make it better. So between those two kinds of choices, to me, you pick the thing that you know, because you know this is at least going to be an improvement. And maybe I get into it and it's not the right fit, so I need to look for a different angle or another version. But like if I keep doing what I'm doing, nothing's going to change, and I'm going to continue to experience the feelings and the outcomes of
Right.
what I'm currently doing. Whereas
Right.
over here, I can just do those things, and maybe I don't want to do them, but I know that it's actually good for me, benefiting me, moving me forward instead of keeping me stuck and digressing. So,
Right. The same gets you the same.
and it really
That's
is
simple.
that simple. It really is that simple. And that's the other place where people just try to complicate the shit out of things, is like, I don't know. It can be that simple. You don't have to go, I say this over and over, but like you don't have to go to therapy. You don't have to like dig through like, well, why do I think this? Why do I have such resistance to this? It's good sometimes to figure that shit out, but more often than not, it doesn't fucking matter. It really doesn't.
Right.
Because
Well,
either
and a
what
lot
you're
of
doing is
times,
working for you or it's not working for you. And if it's not
right. And
working for you, then you need to do something else.
a lot of times you'll figure out that why do I do this? Why did I do it? Whatever through the action.
Exactly. Exactly. So with that, that's just the minimum dose. See what I
Oh,
did
Lord.
there?
Yep. It's amazing.
Of things to share with you of how we utilize simplicity in our life to be better individuals, to be better parents, to be better human beings, coaches, whatever we are, spouses, all the things. Um, it doesn't have to be complicated. And you
Nope.
can decide to either keep complicating your life and not enjoying it as much as you could, or you can decide that you want to simplify that shit down and really squeeze every last drop of amazingness in this blessing that we have each and every day. So, with that, let us know what you took away from this episode. Please share about it. Share it. Just click a button, whatever button to share it, send it, tell people about it.
Spread the
Not
word.
because we're like, oh, we want people. We just want to help people and we want to
Right.
get relatable shit in front of people's eyes and ears so that they can start living the life they were designed to live as well. And if one thing we say in any of these episodes like just hits the mark for somebody, like I know that's cheesy, but like it is totally worth it. So you have the
Absolutely.
power to make a huge impact on someone by simply letting them know about this episode. And for that, we thank you. We love you. We'll
And
see
we'll
you.
see you next week.